Thank you for being with us this morning. Again, I'm Scott Monfort. We're going to try to talk a little bit about, from my perspective, and you're going to hear some of this if you're at grower meetings, and some of you guys in the industry, you may not hear that. But we're going to talk about, because it is around the coffee house or around tables now, we're talking about what can I cut or add to remain profitable. Both of those areas can cause problems, and that's what we're trying to at least get people to think about as we get started here. You can see this slide is littered with logos, okay? Everything that we do is because of the people on this slide set. The other colleagues in Extension, Research, but National Peanut Board, Georgia Peanut Commission, the American Shellers, as well as the Georgia Seed Development. Now, there's one place that we're missing here is industry. Industry supports this group as well, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But for the most part, these are the ones that are pushing money to help do research projects. So we're going to try to work on this a little bit, and then we're going to let Eric and Prosco really talk about some things that can help. When I talk about cutting costs and maximizing yield, I've shown this before. It's basically, if you're talking about yield or net returns, there's a lot of things that go into this, and each one of these, man, you can lose a lot of money and you can gain a lot of money. I mean, we've had this quite a few times. I'm not going to talk about the variety side, since I'm going to talk about that in the next session. We're just going to hit on a couple of things and kind of go from there. Rotation has been a big deal, at least somewhat, in this last couple of years. The problem is we hadn't had much of a rotation. We're losing that because of the acres. We have pushed for the last several years over 800,000 acres. We were this past year sit at around 911,000 acres. And we are trying to figure out at this point, what are growers thinking about doing? Staying the same, going down? What are our options? And that's something that we've got to keep in mind. There are more peanut behind peanut or 1 year out of peanut acres in the state of Georgia right now than we've had in a while. Last year, if you moved into that rotation, probably didn't hurt us that much. But now we're on the second round. And we're bound to get disease issues and various things that's going to get us, if not weeds and other things. A lot of people talking about soybeans. Again, just remember shorter rotations, higher disease risk. They're going to talk about this a little bit. We did a survey in 2025 about, tillage. That was another big thing that's changed. People saving money, trying to save money. We're down to about 38%, maybe less now. This was in 2025. Surveys that we did in all the county meetings, we're down to 38% deep till, 62% reduced tillage. And that means a lot of different things. Some of that's would cover, but most of the time it's running some kind of a ripper, whether you got cover or not, just making one trip over the field or maybe two. We've seen in the last couple of years that reduced tillage actually looks pretty good. We've yielded very good in reduced tillage. Even some of our long-term studies for the last 3 years, reduced tillage has done better. Why is that? We've had 3 extremely dry periods in 3 years we've had extreme dry periods in the middle of the season. And so we've conserved moisture. So that's helped us, but it also can hurt you. We got burrow bug issues potentially in some places, dry land. But the biggest thing I think is what? 900,000 acres. What do we got to do? We got to plant earlier. And if you're in reduced tillage and you got a lot of cover, that potentially can cause problems, being too cool, too wet, and we're going to see some rot problems and we're not going to get the stands we want. So that's a lot of things that just to think about as we go forward. We're all concerned about this. We're trying to figure things out as we go. But we understand that growers have got to do what they got to do to save money right now. Fertility is a big thing right now, trying to figure out where we can save money there. And in peanut, probably the biggest thing is calcium. That's the one thing people are trying to figure out. If we do pegging zone tests, we probably shave out some places where we don't need to put it. Gypsum, or some of these liquids putting out 10, 15, or 15 to 20 gallons. Where I'm more concerned is seed peanuts. That's the one thing I'm worried about. That's the one thing I really don't want to go away from gypsum quite yet until we can prove the fact that we can do things that work. pHs are up a little bit. We're seeing some issues with manganese. So just take your soil samples, make sure we're doing good there. If you're taking a lot of hay off, we are showing that in something that Glenn Harris did a lot of times, keeping up with if we remove hay, how much money is that costing us? It's about $70 per acre in fertility. So we got to put that back. And where are we getting a problem with this? If you're going to other crops, corn or cotton, we're going to replace the fertility. It's the peanut behind peanut is where we're worried. All right, so that's what we got to make sure to work on. Planting decisions. This is last year. It's kind of interesting. I was able to get every single field planted in the state of Georgia by planting date. All right, dry land and irrigated. And if you notice this, by all means, if you look at the planted acres, you got more irrigated planted for the most part. I mean, a little bit more irrigated than some of them. When you talk about acres, I'm going to show you something in a minute that's a little bit interesting. We got about 500,000 acres, 532 this past year that was irrigated, 340 something that was non-irrigated. We hit the mark on a majority of our peanuts between that May 1st and May 25th. The May 25th is a low risk for tomato spotted wilt. Done a good job. But the problem is we got over a third, of this crop that was planted either early or late, which causes a problem with tomato spotted wilt too, as well as some other things. So just something I thought was interesting. Now you flip this around a little bit. How about the number of fields planted in the state of Georgia to dry land or irrigated? We have almost double the amount of non-irrigated fields as we do irrigated. It's kind of interesting. The average irrigated field right now is 43 acres. The average dry land is 16.7. We know that. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. But again, you kind of see where we planted and how that ended up. Just kind of thought that was interesting. All right, harvest decisions. We talk about this a lot. Man, if we miss a mark here, this can cost us 200 pounds to 900 pounds. Just that easy. People say, "Hey, I made the crop," and they've not got it in the basket yet or in the truck yet. And I tell you, until we get it in the truck, we haven't made that crop. And we got to keep that in mind. Some of these have run very late for the last couple of years. We know that. Everybody's talking about we're a 140, 145 day crop. With most of these varieties, the last 3 years, everything is needed to be around 150, if not later. So keep, one thing that we can ask you to do is keep up with us on the All About the Pod podcast. A lot of you guys listen to that. That's a good one for getting the information every week. We try to do everything we can to come up with new ways to get out information. It feeds out to our agents. Our agents are up to speed as well. And so if you got questions, you can kind of go back to them and send it our way. All right. This wheel, like I mentioned, you can cut costs in one area, but it probably is going to cost you something else down the road. And you got to realize, is that loss, is it going to cause you any major problems, or is it going to, maybe it's going to increase your productivity? If you go to strip till, I don't have to spend as many hours in the field, not as much diesel. And if I don't have a problem with yield, I'm okay. But if I'm dry land, I have a burr bug problem, I just shot myself in the foot. So it's just some things to keep in mind. Budgets change throughout the season, so just make sure to keep up with that. All right. I'm going to switch gears just for a second. Try to keep this thing interesting a little bit. I'm a peanut agronomist, all right, the extension peanut agronomist. They call me the team lead, but I don't really know what that means, except people fuss at me a lot. This is a majority of our peanut team, and I would argue that we have one of the best ones in the country, even not just peanuts, I would say on almost any crop. We work very well together. This includes agents. This is only a small portion of the agents that we work with. I think it's 75 counties that we deal with peanut. Most of the people on this slide have an extension appointment. That's important because that's the people that deal with the public every day, growers, agents, all across the board. Now, me and Abney were somewhere yesterday. It's hard to say that, isn't it? I got a few more minutes. Me and Abney, if you've never been around us, we probably come up with some things we don't need to talk about. All right? But yesterday was really interesting. We always are talking about ways to try to save growers money. All right? We're invested, very much so. One of the things that we got to do yesterday was talk to a grower and try to understand, because when you look at it from my end, when we recommend something and it saves you money, well, it might not on your farm because of a certain practice or certain situation. So it's good for us to kind of understand not just agronomy, agronomic practices, varieties, but the whole thing, but your financial situation. If we know something, and I'm not talking about personally, I'm talking about overall, the more we know about your program, the better we are about trying to help you fix it or make it profitable or keep it profitable. I can't say that word. It's the same way with this peanut team. If you see us running around the state, a lot of people think that money is just unlimited, right? That's one thing that people think. The state pays, the University of Georgia pays for our travel, pays for our trucks, pays for everything. Well, they don't. And it's not anything against University of Georgia. We knew this coming in. It's the peanut commissions and the national peanut boards and industry that helps keep the extension group moving through this state and paying for everything that we do for the most part. But even that, we lack. We try our best. We get plenty of money to do research, but there's far more things that we do than just research. Why do I bring this up? Again, it's a rough time to mention this, but hey, I got thrown into this and I'm gonna stick with it. Because I believe in the team, and I think we're good, and I think for the most part we serve you guys well. Not just growers, not just agents, but industry. And so when you think about this, when Beasley was here, they put together with the Peanut Commission and the Federal State Inspection Service, as well as the Willis family, they put together a research peanut team endowment for us right before he left. Okay, it's been sitting here. I've been trying to work with this a little bit as I've come in. I've been here 10 years and finally starting to get back to it because I'm finally getting to a point I can work on it. Why is this important? Because some things that is very, very hard for us to get money for, that third point down at the bottom right here, well, right there, donation be used for extension activities. We do all kinds of stuff to promote peanuts and everything, research and equipment. Equipment is extremely hard for us to get. We can't find money for that. Now the university does help us out. Peanut Commission helps us out, but we can't ask for everything. I mean, there's just not that much money to go around. Graduate students, people, is one of those things too. Do you realize we have more projects than we have graduate students, okay? Because we don't have money to fund them. The other thing is we need to get graduate students to replace Bob eventually. When is that, Bob? But nevertheless, they're both getting, even Eric, they're both getting a little white in the hair there, so they're moving. But the point is, we need to find those students to be trained and to take our places to serve you continuously and not stop. We want to attract more. Because the industry pulls some away from it, but we want to attract people that love this industry and want to work in it and want to serve. And so, yeah, we need to add more to our stipends to attract those. And that's one of the big things that we need. But, more training and travel opportunities for our agents, for our fellow guys. We just hired 2 brand new people on this team, but outreach. Industry has helped us with outreach more than I can say. But the problem is our industry is getting smaller. And if we get an endowment that we can get money more in, that's dedicated money that never disappears. All we use off of it is the interest. That one-time donation stays there forever, as far as I can tell. And 99% of this money goes to the peanut team. So that's one thing. And again, I hate to do this with the times the way it is, but maybe y'all know some people. I'm not saying that you got to be the donors, but maybe you know some people that might be interested. So just wanted to mention that. We do have some stuff outside with it on it. Very easy to donate, but if you really want to, get with me and let's talk about it.